Every now and again, Mikel Arteta gives us a solution to a problem. For example, Jorginho in the left 8 against Liverpool. He recognised that with the physicality of their midfield, having him as the 6 didn't really make much sense. Rice became the 6, you still want Jorginho's ability on the ball and build-up, so you move him to the left 8 and the balance of the midfield is still there. It was brilliant. We haven't seen it since. He did it and left it. And he actually did something differently against Man City at the Etihad in that first half that we were all very impressed by. And again, we haven't seen it since. In this video, I want to talk about the sort of mini tweaks and subtle changes to the system Arteta can make against Liverpool that even without the return of a Bukayo Saka and Jurriën Timber, who of course we want and need back for this game against Liverpool, these small tweaks I think can make a massive difference to Arsenal's level of performance against Liverpool, who are 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League, well, 4 points clear of Arsenal, and have made this a really, really big game this Sunday, especially with the form we've been in. How can we go up those levels? Because like I said, there are small tweaks that will make a big difference. I want to start with Declan Rice. Now, what I've got here on the tactical pad is Arsenal's 4-2-4, 4-4-2, however you want to call it. We know that in the absence of Ødegaard, Havertz has been dropping in at times and Trossard has been dropping in at times. This has really been Trossard in the 10, but we know that he also favours drifting out to the left. Now, what Rice has done is played in the same position as that left central midfielder, but when you move Arsenal up the pitch into their positions, what I've found is that Calafiori, who likes to invert, with Rice having to move up the pitch a little bit to allow for that, and Arsenal being in a back 3 build-up shape, I feel that these 3 players here, let's show them in yellow, Calafiori, Rice and Trossard have all slightly got in each other's way, because you've got Trossard, who is kind of the 10 who wants to drift out to that side, you've got Rice, who's a box-to-box midfielder who's meant to enter that left 8 space, and you've got Calafiori who's inverting, which means that Declan Rice is actually having at times to move out to the touchline to get the ball and try link up build up. And I'm sorry, but I'm seeing too many players in positions here I don't really like. You've got Havertz, who's having to drift out to the right, and we'll explain why in a second. You've got Trossard, who is kind of playing in that 10 space. I think that's probably the only area of the pitch I'm quite happy with the areas he's picking up. But you've got Rice on the touchline, Calafiori inverting, he's doing quite well, but it just feels all a little bit messy. And then how are they doing the best to help Martinelli in this situation? A lot of sort of emphasis on playing down that side, or at least it feels to me when I'm watching the game. But we know that Arsenal down the right can be brilliant, and in doing this, what we've had is either Havertz playing as the right 8, for example against Southampton, so you've got maybe Rice, as the box-to-box, Trossard, going into that more central striker space, and Havertz coming to this area to link up play between Partey, White and Saka. Problem is, Havertz is our best number 9 against Southampton. You could see that too often he was playing out to that side, trying to recreate what Ødegaard does. So, in the game since, the only really one is Shakhtar, right? Because we had 10 men against Bournemouth. Havertz has been sort of trying to hold that space, trying to stretch the defenders in the back 4, which means, and okay, it wasn't Saka, it was Jesus, when we are playing down this right, and let's give a ball to Partey, and he's combining with White, or he's combining with Jesus or Saka on the right, whatever, it feels like there's been a little bit of a vacated space here. It feels like there's been no one to quite fill that gap. Now, why am I mentioning all this? Because I think Arteta already found a solution to it, yet he seems quite reluctant to do it again. If we take the same players, let's take the ball off the pitch for a second. A simple tweak, which involves Rice playing as the right 8, means that you can get Trossard, from the number 10 position dropping into the left 8. You've got Havertz who can keep leading the line, and you've got Rice who can offer an option. Let's build the rest of the back 3. There we go. You've got Rice who can keep offering an option as an underlap, or if Saka goes inside, as an overlap, to ensure that we've still got that line of 5 that Arteta has basically implemented since day 1 at Arsenal. Ever since he arrived, he's wanted his players to be able to line up in a front 5, attacking the 5 lanes and having a really nice balance with the creator, a more box-to-box player. Look how Ødegaard and Xhaka did it, and now you've got Trossard and Rice home to do it, but flipping the dynamic slightly, so you've still got the exact same thing, but they've got there in slightly different ways. Why is this important, and how has it worked before? Let me show you Rice in the right of central midfield against Man City. Let's make the players a little bit smaller. Now what we've got here is Arsenal in their out of possession shape, because as you can see, the front 4, let's annotate it. We'll show it in a yellow box. You got your front 4 because they've gone to press, but we also know Martinelli and Saka can drop in to make it a 4-4-2 out of possession. This is of course before the sending off. You got your back 4 and Rice and Partey, the 2 central midfielders there to sweep up as Saliba wins the ball. Now again, they're a central midfield partnership. Out of possession, our shape is still the same, but that tweak of Rice to right central midfield, we got there. It gives us another potential dynamic, because that 4-4-2 out of possession very quickly becomes a front five in possession. Why? Because Trossard is able to press on the left of the front two with Havertz. He's not having to drift out too quickly. And Rice, and let's play out this move, smashes the ball out to Saka, and he's immediately on his bike. Havertz recognises for a second he could go out to support Saka, but Rice is on his way. So Havertz drifts into the box. Rice is now making an overlap rather than an underlap. Saka plays him, and he wins the corner. What happens from that corner? We score. Gabriel, and we go 2-1 up. But let's just play this move from a little bit further back one more time. Rice smashes the ball out to Saka, and as he's charging down the right to overlap, Saka plays that ball, and what you've got here is Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, Rice, and Saka, your front five recreated. And I feel that that small tweak of Rice to right central midfield, where he's able to be the box to box that Xhaka or Marino could be potentially on the left, or Rice actually has been on the left where Erdegaard's been on the right, I think gives us that better balance because Trossard favours drifting to the left so much. You could equally just tell Trossard to play more to the right of central midfield and go support Saka, but we know that that hasn't been a dynamic Arteta's particularly loved. So that I think is a really interesting element to all of this essentially, is the idea that you could have Rice at the right of central midfield to offer a better balance and build up and a little bit of a better balance when we're attacking as well. Now, of course, the big talk going into this game is what we do with the back fours, because essentially Timber could be out, Calafiori is looking like he might be out, we know Saliba is definitely out, we don't know about Tomiyasu, and everyone's starting to panic a little bit, and I get it. But let's offer some solutions, starting with solutions that include Jurriën Timber. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is make the players a little bit bigger, and let's get the Liverpool players on the pitch. There we go. So this is what the 11s, I made them too big. So this is what the 11s could look like at the moment for Liverpool. And then for Arsenal, we're pulling out William Saliba, and we're probably pulling out Calafiori. Now, let me offer a few things at first. If Jurriën Timber is fit, then I think what a lot of people are talking about is White moving to centre-back with Timber at right-back, and then you could probably go with Zinchenko at left-back. Some people are calling for Lewis Skelly, I'd be absolutely fine with that. You could go with Kivior at left-back too. I mean, basically, with the left-backs, take your pick. Do you want to go for the taller Kivior? Do you want to go for the option that Arteta went with in midweek and Lewis Skelly? Or do you want to go with Zinchenko, who's played in big games, and maybe you could rely on his experience a little bit more despite having other things that you perhaps don't love about him being the starting left-back? Now, that's one option you could go with. But with Timber fit, there is a temptation to play him at left-back because who have they got? It's Mo Salah. So, what you could do is take Zinchenko out completely, move Timber over to left-back, and then you could get Kivior, where is he? At centre-back, just so you can have Timber at left-back to try deal with Salah. Now, it would seem weird not to just have, Kivior at left-back and Timber at centre-back where they're both more comfortable. But if you're talking about doing a specific job that stops Mo Salah, then that is definitely one of the options. My preferred option, if Timber is fit, is actually, just to switch them. Now, it's probably to go for Lewis Skelly over Kivior, but my big point is to focus on these three here. Gabriel, Timber, White, that would be my three centre-backs, or also my three defenders in this current system, because I think you've got at least three who are very comfortable where they're playing, and you're carrying a left-back slightly, but I don't mind that because I'm really comfortable about the other three. That's the way I go. But the other option is that ultimately, Jurriën Timber isn't available, we're going to have to do something a little bit different. Now, again, the first and easy thing to do is simply move Kivior to centre-back, and then you're trying to do something at left-back, maybe Zinchenko, maybe Lewis Skelly. The thing is, people have put forward other potential options too. Now, if we take Zinchenko out, some people are even suggesting that you could just simply put Rice to centre-back. If you put Rice to centre-back, what you're looking to do then is get Mikel Merino into the team. And what you're basically saying is, I've still got a load of 6'4" defenders, or six foot defenders. They're not all 6'4", 6'1", 6'2". But you've got a load of 6-foot defenders. You've got Mikel Merino and Partey in central midfield, so you've still got some physicality. And this probably mirrors the profile of players that Arteta wants to go for more than any other option. Rice at centre back, and listen, you can do quite a lot of things with that, right? You can still have, Trossard and Havertz as the front two. You can have Merino bombing forward, and you can have Rice stepping into midfield and making your back three. I mean, you could do something like that. Let's get Saka up the pitch to illustrate my point. By the way, Saka might not be fit, right? Saka's just there because also if Saka's out, Jesus comes in and everything I'm talking about from a tactical perspective still applies. But that is something you could certainly do. You could get Rice stepping into midfield from centre-back. You've got a back three that's decent there, and that could be very, very interesting too. What other people are suggesting, though, is that ultimately you could play Partey at right-back with Rice and Merino as your two in front. You've got Martinelli, Saka, Havertz and Trossard. But where this is interesting is, again, I think if you're going to play this system, you can only really have one inverter, which would have to be Partey. Now, I don't like this. I can already hear you all screaming in the comments. I don't like this. I think Partey's been our best midfielder this season, and I think if you're trying to run play through Partey, and you're trying to take control of this game against Liverpool, it'd be really disappointing to move Partey out of midfield. However, for me, it's the best way of getting everything I've talked about in this video in one 11 and in one tactical setup. Because if you move everyone up the pitch one more time, Trossard left 8, Havertz leading the line, and Saka out on the touchline, what you could get out of this system is Rice, again, doing the box-to-box thing that we just talked about at the beginning of this video. Marino and Partey deeper in build-up. We've talked about Marino potentially being better than Rice in build-up, but of course we're yet to see because he hasn't played too much football for Arsenal. And then you've got 3 centre-backs in your back 3 in build-up. And that, to me, feels like a very balanced 11. So to sum up, if Jurrien Timber's fit, he plays centre-back, he comes in for Saliba, keep it as clean as that, and then take your pick at left-back. There's an argument for Lewis Skelly, Kivior, and of course Zinchenko. But if he's not available, it gets a little bit sticky, and at that point, I'm opting for Partey at right-back because I'm hoping you can still invert him and then have him in build-up, and you can get Rice doing what I think is going to really benefit Arsenal in that right 8, box-to-box, supporting a Saka or a Jesus. Now, of course, there are rumours, and it is just rumours, that Martin Ødegaard could even be fit. That changes everything. If Timber and Saka are fit, that's a massive boost. And dare I ask, where's Tomiyasu? And I'm not saying that to criticise him. I mean, of course, it's disappointing we don't have him. But my question is, Arsenal have been very, very coy and very, very quiet on what's going on with Tomiyasu. Could he maybe be available? Because if he was supposedly out when we played around the 4th, 5th of October against, Southampton when he came on, that's about 3 weeks ago now. Is he fit? Could he maybe be available? And that would solve a lot of problems. Of course, when all that is announced, we'll know and have a better idea of what Arsenal could and should do for this game. But for now, with what we do know, this is how I'd line up against Liverpool. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed that little tactical preview. And I want to know your 11s. And go check out the Goonerverse podcast if you missed it too, with Turkish, Curtis and Shoroy. They were fantastic. Catch you all on Sunday for a match report.